The member for Lyons is warned. The member for Gorton.
Thanks very much. Well, wakey, wakey, everybody. Mr. Speaker, this is an important suspension motion. That's why I second it, because this is a very important issue. This goes to whether, in fact, this parliament should support low-paid workers in this country. Now, the argument that's been posed by the Prime Minister, the only argument, is that a decision was made by the independent umpire. Well, let's be very clear here. In this place, this Prime Minister has actually contravened decisions of independent umpires on at least 3 occasions. Let's be very clear here. Within one sitting day of the Road Safety Remuneration Tribunal Safe Rates Order coming into effect, the government introduced legislation with the intention to cancel the order and indeed legislated to abolish the tribunal. Within 7 sitting days of the resumption of parliament, the government legislated to restrict paid firefighters' bargaining rights. And within 1 sitting day of the McGlade decision, the government rushed legislation through the House. Mr. Speaker, it is a fig leaf for the Prime Minister to hide behind the fact that the independent umpire made this decision. This decision will hurt Australians, and if this Prime Minister had any fairness and any strength in him, he'd defend those workers, he'd join Labor and defend those workers. But I ask myself, Mr. Speaker, why is it then, given the precedents he has set himself, why hasn't he then intervened and joined Labor to support this decision? Now, it may well be he wants to save face. Understand he's made the wrong call. You know, he feels embarrassed. He doesn't want to change his mind. You know, he's a very smart man. Just ask him. We know that. But the fact is, Mr. Speaker, there might be another reason. There might be another reason, Mr. Speaker, because if you go to a paragraph in his contribution to the Work Choices debate, when he voted for Work Choices, he said the following, Mr. Speaker. He said the following, and I quote: "You have to let the free market do its work, and let the cost of setting the clearing price, be it for labour, shares, home units or loaves of bread, be as low as possible." Be as low as possible. So this effectively what he said was let the market rip. That's what he means when he said that, Mr. Speaker. Well, the fact is that view, that laissez-faire view, that let the market rip view, may well be a popular view at merchant banker luncheons or on yachts in Sydney Harbour, but I can assure you of this, Mr. Speaker, the Australian public do not hold that view. The Australian public, Mr. Speaker, believe that in fairness. The Australian public, Mr. Speaker, believe in fairness and decency, and they'd expect their Prime Minister to defend workers in this country, not hide behind a fig leaf to attack them.
The Minister for Urban Infrastructure.
Now, Mr. Speaker,
the Minister for Urban Infrastructure will cease interjecting.
The Leader of the Opposition, I will tell you what, I'll back this Leader of the Opposition any day to defend workers before this Prime Minister. The only time he seems to get excited is when he defends banks, when he intervenes to oppose the Royal Commission on banks. I mean, this man, in fact, the Prime Minister is the shop steward of banks. Let's be honest. But look, Mr. Speaker, there's a more powerful way of putting this, and a more serious way of putting this, and it's really an utterance by so many workers who've been referred to in question time today. And I just wanted to finish on one. Ruby lives in Newstead and works in retail, and she said the following, Mr. Speaker: unable to live on a paycheck to paycheck at the moment. I rarely save money. Losing that bit extra makes it a bit harder. People like me in my situation, we spend money on little luxuries that go back into the community, and it means I'll have less money to do that, pay the rent and other essentials. Well, some people might find that funny. I don't find that funny. I find it tragic that those members on the other side do not understand that this decision will have dire effects on hundreds of thousands of Australians, and yet this Prime Minister, who has the power to intervene and join Labor and defend these workers, refuses to do so. I don't find that funny at all, and I find it, quite frankly, an outrage. And I believe now the Prime Minister has an opportunity. For the last 4 days he's defended his decision not to join Labor, but I think he should rethink this. This decision, if implemented, will hurt a lot of people. It's up to the Prime Minister. He can either keep laughing at the anecdotes and the statements made by workers, or he can get behind these workers, look after them, join Labor and do that, Prime Minister.